Hey bud, I miss you. I figured I'd kind of read to you. Hopefully you see. This is the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, The Golden Bird. A certain king had a beautiful garden, and in the garden stood a tree which bore golden apples. These apples were always counted, and about the time when they began to grow ripe, it was found that every night that one of them was gone. The king became very angry at this, and ordered the gardener to keep watch all night under the tree. The gardener set his oldest son to watch, but about 12 o'clock he fell asleep. In the morning, another one of the apples was missing. The second son was ordered to watch, and at midnight too he fell asleep. And in the morning another apple was gone. The third son offered to keep watch, but the gardener at first would not let him, and feared some harm would come to him. However, at last he consented, and the young man laid himself under a tree to watch. The clock struck 12, and he heard a rustling noise in the air. A bird came flying, that of pure gold, and was snapping at one of the apples in its beak. The gardener's son jumped and shot an arrow at that, but the arrow did the bird no harm. It only dropped the golden feather from its tail, then flew away. The golden feather was brought to the king in the morning, and the council was called together. Everyone agreed that it was worth more than the wealth of the kingdom, but the king said, "The feather is of no use to me. I must have the whole bird." Then the gardener's eldest son set out to find the golden bird very easily. And when he had gone but a little way, he came into the wood, and by the side of the wood he saw a fox sitting. So he took his bow and made ready to shoot at it. The fox said, "Do not shoot me, for I will give you good counsel. I know what your business is, and that you want to find the golden bird. You will reach a village in this evening, and when you get there, you will see two inns opposite each other, one of which is very pleasant and beautiful to look at. Go not in there, but rest in the other, though it appears to you to be very poor and mean." But the son thought to himself, "What can such a beast know about the matter?" So he shot the arrow at the fox, and he missed it, and it set his tail above it and ran into the woods. Then he went his way. In the evening came the village where the two inns were, and one of these people were singing and dancing and feasting, and the other looked very dirty and poor. "I should be very silly," he said, "if I went to the shabby house and left this charming place." So he went to the smart house, and ate and drank at his ease, and forgot the bird and his country too. Time passed on, and the eldest son did not come back, and no tidings were heard of him. The second son set out, and when the same thing happened to him, he met the fox, who gave him the good advice. But when he came to the two inns, the eldest brother was standing in the window with merry-making walls, and called to him to come in. He could not withstand the temptation, but went in, and forgot the golden bird and his country in the same manner. Time passed on again. The youngest son too wished out to study the whole wide world to seek out the golden bird. But the father would not listen to it for a long while, for he was very fond of his son, and was very afraid some ill luck might happen to him, also and prevent coming him back. However, it was agreed that he would go and not rest at home. And he came into the woods. He met the fox. He heard the same good counsel, but he was thankful to the fox, and did not attempt his life, and his brothers had done. So the fox said, "Sit upon my tail, and you will travel faster." So he sat down, and the fox began to run. Away they went, over stock and stone, and quickly their hair whistled in the wind. When they came to the village, the son followed the fox's counsel, and without looking about him, he went to the shabby inn, and rested there his night at ease. In the morning he came to the fox again, and met him as he was beginning his journey, and said, "Go straight forward until you come to the castle, before which lie a whole troop of soldiers, fast asleep and snoring. Take no notice of them, but go into the castle and pass on until you come to the room where the golden bird sits in the golden cage. Close by it stands this beautiful golden cage. Do not try and take the bird out of the shabby cage, and put it in a handsome one, otherwise you'll repent it." Then the fox stretched out its tail again, and the young man sat himself down, and away they went, over stock and stone, until their hair whistled in the wind. Before the castle gate, all was as the fox had said. So the son went in, and found the chamber where the golden bird hung in the golden cage, and below stood the golden cage with the 3 golden apples that had been lost, lying very close by it. I thought, he said to himself, it would be a very droll thing to bring such a fine bird in this shabby cage. So he opened the door and took a hold of it in the golden cage. But the bird set a loud scream and set the soldiers awake. They took him prisoner and carried him before the king. The next morning the court sat to judge him. When he was heard, it was sentenced to die, unless he should bring the king the golden horse which could run as swiftly as the wind. And this he did. He was to have the golden bird given to him for his own. So he set out once more for his journey, and in great despair, when on a sudden his friend the fox said, "You see now what has happened on account of you not listening to my counsel. I will still, however, tell you how to find the golden horse, if you do as I bid you. You must go straight on until you come to the castle where the horse stands by his stall. By his side you will lie the groom, fast asleep and snoring. Take the horse quietly, but be sure to put the old leathern saddle upon him, not the golden one that is close by it. Then the sun sat down on the fox's tail, and away they went over the stone till it whistled in the wind. All went right, and the groom lay snoring, with his hands upon the golden saddle. But when the son looked at the horse, he thought it a great pity to put the leathern saddle upon it. I will give him the good one, he said. I'm sure he deserves it. As he took up the golden saddle, the groom awoke and cried out loud, and that the guards ran in and took him prisoner. In the morning, he was again brought before the court to be judged. He was sentenced to die, but it was agreed that if he could bring back Thither, the beautiful princess, he would live, and have the bird and the horse given to him for his own. Then he went away on his very sorrowful, but the old fox came and said, Why did you not listen to me? If you had, you would have carried away both the bird and the horse. Yet I will give you counsel. Go on straight. In the evening you will arrive at the castle. At 12 o'clock the night the princess goes to the bathing house. Go upon her and give her a kiss, and she will let you lead her away. But take care you do not suffer her to go and take leave of her father and mother. Then the fox stretched out his tail, and so away they went over stock and stone until their hair whistled again. As they came to the castle, all was as the fox had said, and at 12 o'clock the young man met the princess going to the bath and gave her a kiss. She agreed to run away with him, begged him with many tears that he would let her take leave of her father. At first he refused, till she wept some more, and fell to his feet, until at last he consented. In the morning she became her father's house guards awoke, and he was taken prisoner again. He was brought before the king, and the king said, You will never have my daughter unless in 8 days you dig away the hills that stop the view from my window. Now this hill was so big that the whole wide world could not take it away. And when he looked for 7 days and was done, the fox came and said, Lie down and go to sleep. I will work for you. And in the morning he awoke, and the hill was gone. He went merrily to the king and told him it was removed. He must give him the princess. The king was obliged to keep his word. And away they went, the young man and the princess, and the fox came to him. We will have all three, the princess, the horse, and the bird. Ah, said the young man, would that be a great thing, but how can you contrive it? If you will only listen, said the fox, it can be done. When you have come to the king, and he asks for the beautiful princess, you must say, Here she is. Then he will be very joyful, and you will mount the golden horse they are to give to you, and put your hand in to take leave of them. But shake hands with the princess last, and lift her quickly onto the horse behind you. Clap your spurs onto his side, and gallop away as fast as you can. All went right, and then the fox said, When you come to the castle where the bird is, I will stay with the princess at the door, and you will ride and speak to the king. And then he sees it that the right horse, he will bring the bird. You must sit still and say you want to look at it. See whether it's true golden bird. When you get your hands on it, right away. This too happened, and the fox said they carried off the bird. The princess mounted again, and they rode to the great wood. The fox came and said, Pray kill me and cut my head off. But the young man refused to do so. The fox said, I will at any rate give you good counsel. Beware of 2 things. Ransom no one from the gallows, and sit down by the side of no river. And away he went. Well, thought the young man, it is a hard matter to keep that advice. He rode on with the princess till at last he came to the village where he had left his 2 brothers, and then he heard a great noise and uproar. And when he was asked what the matter was, 2 men are to be hanged. And he came near, and he saw that these 2 men were his brothers who had turned robbers. And he said, Cannot they be saved? But the people said, No, unless he would bestow all his money upon the rascals to buy their liberty. Then he did not say to think of the matter, but paid what was asked, and the brothers were given up, and went on to him towards their home. And when they came to the wood where the fox first met them, it was cool and pleasant, and the 2 brothers said, Let us sit down by the side of the river and rest a while to eat and drink. So he said yes, and forgot the fox's counsel, and sat down on the side of the river, where he suspected nothing. They came behind and threw him into the bank, and took the princess and the horse and the bird, and went to give it to the king their master. All this have worn by their labor. Then there was a great rejoicing made, but the horse would not eat, the bird would not sing, and the princess wept. The youngest son fell to the bottom of the river's bed. Lucky it was nearly dry, but his bones were almost broken, and the bank was so steep that he could not find a way to get out. Then the old fox came once more and scolded him for not following his advice, otherwise evil would have befallen him. Yet he said, I cannot leave you here. So I lay hold my tail and hold fast. And he pulled him out of the river and said to him to get upon the bank. Your brothers have set a watch to kill you if they find you in the kingdom. So he dressed himself as a poor man and came secretly to the king's court. It was scarcely within the doors when the horse began to eat, and the bird began to sing, and the princess left off weeping. Then he went to the king and told him all of his brother's roguery, and then seized and punished. He and the princess given to him again, and after the king's death he was heir to the kingdom. A long while after, he went to walk one day in the woods, and the old fox met him, and besought him with tears, with eyes, to kill him, and cut off his head and feet. And be at least he did, and in the moment the fox was changed into a man, and turned out to be the brother of the princess, who had been lost a great many years. Anyway, that's the story of the Golden Bird. Hopefully I'll get another one read to you tomorrow. Have a good night, buddy.